Hey everyone, welcome back to today's video. This is a crochet kit that I found at Five Below. We're going to crochet Stitch from the movie Lilo and Stitch. This kit comes with yarn, stuffing, a crochet hook, and a tapestry needle, basically everything you need. This kit has felt eyes and a nose that you stick on at the end. You can glue it on or you can even embroider them with yarn if you're good at that. I'm going to use the felt ones today. And that's everything you need to get started with Stitch, so let's go ahead and get started making him. So here's the written pattern for the head. I'm going to leave it here on the screen if you want to take a picture. You can pause and take a picture. We're going to start with the berry blue yarn, which is the yarn included in the kit. The first thing we're going to do is make a magic ring. I'm going to show you how to make a magic ring in this video quickly. If you need a more depth tutorial, there's another video on my channel on a slower how to make the magic ring. So you're going to grab your yarn. We're going to lay the tail of my yarn in my left hand, wrapping the yarn over the top, under the bottom, back over the top, crossing and making an X, holding the yarn tension with my pinky, taking my hook under the first, over the second, pulling the yarn down, twisting clockwise, yarning over, swooping it down and up to get it through the loop, and then you have your magic ring. I pull the tail out of my magic ring and then tighten it down just a little bit. So now that we have our magic ring, the next thing we're going to do is put 6 single crochets. So you put your hook through the middle of the circle, yarn over, pull through 2, and you're going to do that 6 times. So you put your hook in the circle, yarn over, pull up, yarn over, pull through 2. So we have our 6, we're going to count and make sure that we have 6 single crochets. Take your tail and tighten it down. I hold on to the stitches while I pull the tail tight. So we're going to take our hook and put it through the first stitch of that round, and we're going to do a slip stitch and chain 1. So put your hook through, grab your yarn, pull through, yarn over, chain 1. Now we're going to get started on round 2. Round 2 is going to be an increase round. So in each stitch you're going to do 2 single crochets. So you put your hook into the next stitch, do a single crochet, and then put your hook back into the same stitch and do another single crochet. You're going to do this all the way around. At the end of round 2 you have 12 stitches. Don't forget to do your slip stitch and chain 1. So here we got to the end of round 2. I'm going to do my slip stitch and chain 1. And we're ready for round 3. So round 3 is going to be a single crochet and then an increase. And you're going to repeat this a total of 6 times. So a single crochet and then an increase. So I finished all the stitches for round 3. I'm going to do my slip stitch and chain 1, put our hook through, pull all the way through, and chain 1. So these are all our stitches. Get ready for round 4. So before we get started with round 4, I'm going to switch over to my own 3mm hook because the one that was included with the kit is very thin and quite uncomfortable to hold. This crochet hook that I have here has a nicer grip. I got this in a pack that came with multiple hooks off of Temu. So we're going to use this one instead. So now we're ready for round 4. Round 4 is going to be a single crochet and 2 stitches and then an increase. So it'll be a single crochet, increase. And you're going to repeat that a total of 6 times. So single crochet, increase. I'll meet you back towards the end. We'll do our slip stitch and chain 1. So we did our chain 1. This is our round 4. These space right here, those are our chain 1 spaces. So now we're ready for round 5. Round 5 is going to be a single crochet in 3 stitches and then an increase. So single crochet, single crochet, single crochet, and then an increase. And you're going to repeat that same sequence 6 times. So single crochet, single crochet, single crochet, increase. So we took care of round 5 with our slip stitch and chain 1. This is round 6. Round 6 is going to be 4 single crochets and then an increase, the same way we have been doing for rounds 5 and 4. So you're just doing 4 single crochets and then an increase, and repeat that a total of 6 times to go all the way around. At the end of this round, you're going to do a slip stitch and chain 1, and then we'll get ready for round 7. So we're ready for round 7. Round 7 is very similar to the other ones. Now we're doing 5 single crochets and then an increase. And you're repeating that same sequence 6 times, the same we have for the last few rounds. So 5 single crochets, increase, repeat, and then do your slip stitch and chain 1. So now we're going to be doing the easy part. It's going to be round 8 through 14, and it's going to be the same. So rounds 8 through 14 is just going to be a single crochet in each stitch. In between each round, make sure to do your slip stitch and chain 1. If you lose track, use a stitch marker to help you keep count. But you're just putting 1 single crochet in each stitch for rounds 8 through 14. So I'll meet you back for rounds 15. So here we finished the last single crochet round, which was round 14. Before you do your slip stitch and chain 1, we need to change over to the lighter blue yarn. They're calling it the soft blue yarn on the written pattern. So I put my hook through like I'm gonna do my slip stitch, but before pulling it all the way through, I'm gonna lay my yarn on the inside. I hold the tail down on the inside of the work, and I use the light blue yarn to finish my slip stitch and chain 1. Pulling down the dark blue yarn so it's tight and stays in place, I chain 1, and now we have made our color change. So we're going to start round 15. So round 15 is going to be 5 single crochets and then a decrease. And you're going to repeat that twice. So we do 1, 2, 3. And while I'm doing these single crochets, I'm making sure to lay the tail of the light blue yarn on the inside so that I don't have to weave it in. You could leave it out and just leave it on the inside of the head. When you stuff it, it will stay in place either way. So we have our 5th single crochet, and now we're going to do a decrease. So put your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, next stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3. That's your decrease. And then again, we're going to do 5 single crochets and then a decrease. Doing another decrease, put your hook in the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, hook in the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3. That's your decrease. So the next step is going to be 4 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Before finishing the 4th one, we need to change back to the dark blue yarn. The dark blue yarn is still connected to my work, so leave a little bit of slack. Don't pull it too tight. Yarn over with the dark blue yarn to finish your 4th single crochet, pulling the light blue tight so that it stays down. Now we're going to continue with the pattern, which is going to be a single crochet, a decrease, and then we're going to do a sequence. So single crochet, a decrease, and then we're going to do 5 single crochets with a decrease and repeat that 3 times. So 5 single crochets and then a decrease and repeat it 3 times. That's going to be your round 15. You're going to do your slip stitch and chain 1, and then we'll be ready for round 16. So when finishing the last stitch on round 15, do your color change the same way we did. When you have the 2 loops to finish off your single crochet, just pull through with the light blue yarn instead, tighten down the dark blue, and then your chain 1, and it will be secure. So now we're going to go ahead and do round 16. So for round 16, you're going to do 4 single crochets and then a decrease. And you're going to repeat that 2 times. So 4 single crochets and a decrease, similar to round 15. And we're doing this working with the light blue yarn. So we finish our last decrease. Now we're going to do 4 single crochets. When you're on the last single crochet, you're going to do your color change again. So do your last single crochet, pull up with the 2 loops, finish off your single crochet with the dark blue yarn, making your color change. Same way as before. So now we did our color change. We're going to do a decrease. So into the next stitch, pull through, next stitch, pull through, yarn over all 3. That's our decrease. And then a sequence of 4 single crochets and a decrease, repeated 3 times to finish off the round. So 4 single crochets, decrease, repeated 3 times. We made it to our decrease. The last thing we're going to do is change over to the light blue yarn. So putting my hook into the first stitch of that round, pull through. Before I yarn over and pull through all the way, switch over to the light blue yarn. And we're doing our color change. So pull through with our light blue and then do a chain 1 to secure. And then we're going to get started on our round 17. So we changed over to our soft blue yarn, starting off on round 17. First thing we're going to do is 3 single crochets and then a decrease. You're going to repeat that a total of 3 times. This is similar to the rounds we've done before. It kind of just repeats. So 3 single crochets and then a decrease. Then we're going to change over to the dark blue yarn. So we're finishing our last decrease. Finish this decrease off with the dark blue yarn to do our color change. And then the next step we're going to do is 3 single crochets and a decrease, and repeat that 3 times as well using the dark blue yarn. So 3 single crochets and then a decrease. When we get back to the end, on the last decrease, we're going to switch back over to the light blue yarn. And I'll see you guys on round 18. So we've already made our color change, and round 18 starts with 2 single crochets and a decrease repeated 3 times. So 2 single crochets, a decrease, and repeat that 3 times. Then you're gonna, on the last decrease, you're gonna switch to your dark blue yarn and then get started with the rest of the sequence. The rest of the sequence for 18 using the dark blue yarn is 2 single crochets, a decrease, repeated 3 times. The same as what we did with the light blue yarn. So 2 single crochets, a decrease, and repeat it 3 times. So we're at the end of round 18. We're not doing any more color changes, so go ahead and snip off the light blue yarn. Grab some stuffing. You're going to start adding stuffing to the head. Make sure it's the amount that you want, shape it the way you want, and stuff the head. After we stuff the head, we have 2 more rounds to do. So this is what my head looks like after being stuffed. These are all the working pieces of yarn that I have. So we're going to get it situated back on our hook, and we're going to continue on with round 19. For round 19, it's going to be a single crochet and then a decrease. So we're going to do a single crochet and then a decrease. So into the next stitch, pull through, next stitch, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3. And you're going to repeat that 6 times. So single crochet, decrease, single crochet, decrease. And you repeat that all the way around. And you'll do your slip stitch and chain 1, and I'll meet you for round 20. So here's our slip stitch and chain 1 for round 19. So I'm going to push the stuffing down a little bit, and I think I'm going to add some more. I don't feel that there's enough stuffing in the head. So I'm going to add a bit more here before I start my round 20. Because after round 20, the hole is going to be closed up and you won't be able to put any more stuffing in. So now's the good time to add it. So now that we got that full head has a nice shape, get your yarn back on your hook and let's do round 20. Now round 20 is just decreases. So I did a single crochet there, so we're going to undo that, and now we're going to do just decreases. I'm going to end up grabbing some of the stuffing that's there. If you push the stuffing down while you're doing it, you'll avoid that, so that the stuffing doesn't show on the outside of the head. This part of the head's going to be attached to the body, so you're really not going to be able to see it anyways. So this is what my head looks like. We're going to do our last slip stitch and chain 1 to secure the yarn. We're actually doing a chain 1 and cut. So once you do your chain 1, cut your yarn. Leave a bit of yarn for sewing the head on. This is what mine looks like. I'm not worrying about stitching up the bottom hole. If you want to, you can use the tail to stitch it up a bit, but this is going to be on top of the body, so you won't be able to see it. The next thing we're going to get started on is the body of our stitch. Getting started with round 1 of the body, which you're going to make a magic ring. There's a slower video of how to make the magic ring at the beginning of the video, and there's another video on my channel to check that out. So once you have your magic ring, you're going to place 6 single crochets inside the ring. So hook in the middle, yarn over, pull through 2, hook in the middle, yarn over, pull through 2. You're going to keep doing that till you have 6 single crochets. Make sure that you have 6. Tighten down the tail of your yarn, pulling the circle closed. Once the circle is closed, you're going to do a slip stitch into the first stitch of the round and chain 1. And then we're going to quickly move into round 2. So we got that, chain 1. Now we're starting round 2. Round 2 is 2 single crochets in each stitch, so an increase round. You're doing an increase 6 times, 1 in each stitch. So 2 single crochets in each stitch. And then do your slip stitch and chain 1, and I'm going to meet you for round 3. So we're starting round 3 of the body. Round 3 of the body is going to be a single crochet and then an increase, repeated 6 times. So 1 single crochet, 1 increase, 1 single crochet, 1 increase. You're going to repeat that 6 times all the way around. At the end of the round, you're going to do your slip stitch and chain one, same as the other rounds. So single crochet, increase, single crochet, increase. So here's our slip stitch and chain one for round 3. Then we're going to quickly move into round 4. Round 4 is 2 single crochets and then an increase, repeated 6 times. So 2 single crochets and then increase. 2 single crochets, increase. You're going to do that all the way around, do your slip stitch and chain one, and I'll meet you back for round 5. So we're going to get started with round 5. Round 5 is going to be 3 single crochets and then an increase, repeated 6 times. The same as the last couple of rounds. So 1, 2, and 3 single crochets, and then an increase. So 2 single crochets in 1 stitch. You're going to repeat this 6 times all the way around. Make sure to do your slip stitch and chain one at the end, and I'll meet you back for round 6. So for round 6, we're going to be doing 4 single crochets and then an increase. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then an increase. So 1 and 2 in the same stitch. You're going to repeat that 6 times all the way around. At the end of round 6, do your slip stitch and chain one, and I'll meet you back for round 7. So we're going to get started with round 7. Round 7, we start off with 14 single crochets, and then we're going to change to our light blue yarn. So I'm going to do one more single crochet, but before finishing that crochet off, we're going to change to the light blue yarn. So I take the yarn, put the tail across the back of the inner piece, holding it in place with my finger, and then I'm going to yarn over and finish my last single crochet with the light blue yarn, and that creates our color change. I pull down the dark blue yarn to make sure that last stitch is tight. And so now we're going to do 8 single crochets with the light blue yarn. I laid the tail of the yarn across the piece so that it will be weaved in, so that you don't have to weave it in later. And we're going to do our 8 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5. My yarn's giving me a really hard time. 6, 7, 8. And on the last one, before finishing off, we have to switch back to the dark blue yarn. So finish the single crochet off with the dark blue yarn the same way we started the round. And then we have our 8 light blue single crochets. To finish off this round, you're going to do 14 single crochets. And then you're going to do your slip stitch and chain one. You want to lay the light blue yarn tail inside the work to keep it weaved in. So do 14 single crochets and I'll meet you back for the slip stitch and chain one. So here's our slip stitch and chain one for round 7. Getting started with round 8. Round 8 is going to be 13 single crochets, change to the light blue, and then do 10 single crochets, change to the dark blue, and then 13 single crochets. So you're doing your 13 single crochets here. And then we're going to change over to the light blue yarn. So in this last stitch, to finish off your 13th single crochet, you're going to use your light blue yarn, same as we did previously. And then with the light blue yarn, you're going to place 10 single crochets. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. When we get to that last one, switch back over to your dark blue yarn and finish that 10th single crochet with the dark blue yarn. And now you're going to do 13 more single crochets with the dark blue yarn. That will help you finish off the round to be able to do your slip stitch and chain one. So I'll meet you for that on round 9. So we did our slip stitch and chain one. We're ready for round 9. Round 9 is a mix of a little bit of everything, and I ended up changing some of the things. So the first thing you're starting off with is a sequence, which is 4 single crochets and then a decrease repeated twice. So 4 single crochets, and then a decrease. So after you do that decrease, you're going to finish that decrease off with the light blue yarn, doing our color change. Pulling down the dark blue yarn to make sure that it's tight. And then we're going to get started with the first part of the sequence with the light blue yarn, which is 3 single crochets. So here I have my 3 single crochets, and then the next part of that sequence is going to be 2 decreases. So a decrease, and then the next is another decrease. And now we're going to do 5 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, we're trying to keep this side in line with the others. So that's why I made adjustments to the pattern. So I'm doing 5 single crochets with the light blue to finish off my sequence. And then I'm going to change back to the dark blue yarn. And this will give the body belly piece that's a different color a symmetrical look. So with the dark blue yarn, then you're going to do a decrease and then 4 single crochets and repeat that twice. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then another decrease and 4 more single crochets. So decrease and 4 more single crochets. I was counting to ensure that the change I made to the pattern was going to work before doing it. And then we're going to do our slip stitch and chain 1. And that's your round 9. The next one we're going to get started with is round 10. But this is what the front bit looks like. The belly is more symmetrical than if we didn't change anything for the pattern. Getting started with round 10, we're going to start off by doing 11 single crochets with the dark blue yarn and then change to the light blue yarn. Once we change to the light blue yarn, you're going to do 8 single crochets, change back to the dark blue yarn, and do 11 single crochets. And when finishing off your last single crochet, finish off your last single crochet with the light blue yarn. So 1 more single crochet, and then I'm changing to my light blue yarn. Making sure that my dark blue yarn is tight. And now we're going to do 8 single crochets. So 1, 2, and so on. Keep doing that until you get back to your dark blue. Do your color change back to your dark blue, and then we're going to do 11 more single crochets. So here we're doing round 11. We're starting off with 3 single crochets and then a decrease and repeating that twice. And then after that, you're going to do 2 single crochets and change to the light blue yarn. I had an issue with my pattern, so here you can see I ended with a decrease, but I ended up changing it off camera. I forgot to film that part. But for the first part of round 11, it's 3 single crochets, decrease repeated twice, ending on 2 single crochets. So I changed over to my light blue yarn, and the second portion is going to be 2 single crochets, 2 decreases, and then 2 single crochets. And then you're going to change back to your dark blue yarn. So 2 single crochets, and then a decrease, another decrease, and 2 more single crochets. I'm showing you here that I did the pattern like this. So on your last single crochet, change back to your dark blue yarn. Mine looks like a mess on the inside. Forgot that I was changing over to the dark blue. So we're changing over to that dark blue yarn. And then we're going to do a single crochet and then a decrease with 3 single crochets, and then another decrease and 2 single crochets. So we're doing our decrease here, and then we're going to do 3 single crochets. And then we're going to do another decrease, and 2 single crochets. And that's going to finish off our round 11. And then we're going to do our slip stitch and chain 1, getting ready for round 12. This is what the front of it looks like, and this is how the belly patch is looking as well. So now we're ready for round 12. Round 12 is going to be 10 single crochets and then change to your soft blue yarn. And you can see that the belly patch is shrinking. Now that it was past its widest point, it's starting to shrink down as it comes up to the chest. When we do that final single crochet, we're changing over to our light blue yarn, which somehow I magically always forget. Once you change over to your light blue yarn, you're going to be doing 6 single crochets. And on that last single crochet, change back over to your dark blue yarn. Once you change to your dark blue yarn, you're going to do 8 single crochets. And then you're going to do your slip stitch and chain 1, ready for round 13. And here's what the belly portion looks like. So we're doing round 13. Round 13 starts off with 2 single crochets and then a decrease as a sequence, so you repeat it twice. As I clearly started the round wrong. So 2 single crochets and then a decrease, and repeat it again. 2 single crochets and a decrease. And then we're going to do 2 more single crochets after this. On the last single crochet, change to your light blue yarn. And then you're going to do a single crochet, a decrease, a decrease, a single crochet. So single crochet, decrease, decrease, single crochet. And on that last single crochet, change back to your dark blue yarn. And then we're going to do a single crochet, a decrease, a single crochet, and another single crochet. And then to finish off, we're going to do a decrease and one single crochet. And then you're going to do your slip stitch and chain one. You're going to do a chain one and cut this time, so leave a little bit of a tail for sewing it on. So this is what the body looks like once we finished round 13. This is what it looks like with the head. The next thing I want to do is stuff the body. So here we're stuffing and shaping the body, making sure the body is the shape that you want it to be. For Stitch, I want to make sure that he can sit. So you're making the base of this part of his body wide compared his chest is a little skinnier. This is what it looks like with the head. I'm actually going to go ahead and show you how to stitch the head onto the body. So I'm going to get my tapestry needle, and then we're going to stitch these two pieces together. So I fold my yarn over on the tail. You can't see it here on camera, but I fold my yarn over to get it through the tapestry needle, but as it apparently got stuck, because this yarn was starting to get on my nerves at this point because it was splitting so much. So I'm going down through the front of the body, coming out the base, and this is going to be starting point to make sure that the head is straight and that the two blue patches are lined up. So once I have it there in place, I'm going to hold it in place here. And then I'm going to use the yarn and secure it so that it doesn't move so easily on me. So that now that it's in the place that I want it to be, I'm going to switch the yarn that I was using. This is the yarn that was at the base of the head. The one I started off with was the one that's on the body. And I'm going to start finding my first stitch here, pulling my yarn through, getting it started. And what I'm going to do is basically weave in and out of the stitches as I'm going around. So the first one I'm doing, I'm going up through the body, finding a stitch in the head, going under the bottom rim of the stitch on the head, and then coming back up and around, ensuring that it's still in the same place so that the two blue patches are lined up together. So we come up through the body again and go through a stitch on the head, pulling it tight, this way that it's a little less noticeable, and try to hide the seam the best we can. So I just go up through the bottom of the body, through the head, and then back down. And I'm just going to keep doing this until the head is secured all the way around. You can see that I went up to the light blue patch, and then now I'm going back the other way on the head. And we're going to go around the back side to the other side of the head.
And we're just weaving through a stitch on the bottom, up through the stitch on the top. You can stitch it on the way that's best for you. This is how I did it. So now I got majority of the head on. I'm actually going to grab a scrap piece of light blue yarn to stitch on the head where the belly area is so that it's not noticeable. So I'm going in through the lower portion, pulling my yarn through, going back through again, pulling it through one more time, tucking the tail piece of that yarn into the head, and then we're going to go through a stitch on the head, down through the body, and secure it the same way that we were doing the dark blue. And you're just weaving between the two pieces, attaching them together. Once I finished off this portion, I just push the thread back into the head, pull it out the back side, and we'll trim it off later. So here the two pieces are together. I'm going to stick the needle through the body, pulling it out the back side. I'm actually going to pull on the yarn slightly, and when you snip it off, the rest of the yarn goes back into the body. This is the other thread from the head and the bottom of the base. So the head and the body have been sewn together, and this is the point that we're at so far. And we're going to go ahead and get started with the next step. So we're getting started with the arms. This is the written pattern for the arms. I've already made one of them off camera. I'll show you here in a second. And we're going to make the last one together. So you'll have to make two arms. With our dark blue yarn, we'll get ready and set up. This is what the arm looks like that I made off camera. So we're going to get started with a magic ring. I tried to do it around one finger, but it didn't work out for me. So I did two fingers, wrap it around, back across the top, down, twist, the same way as we did in the beginning of the video. So now that we have that, we're going to do 6 single crochets into the magic ring. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then we're going to tighten the tail down, slip stitch and chain 1 into the first stitch. And now we're ready for round 2. Round 2 is going to be a sequence, which is a single crochet and then an increase, and repeat that 3 times. So single crochet, increase, single crochet, increase. You do that all the way around. At the end of round 2, you're going to do your slip stitch and chain 1. So now we're doing round 3. So round 3 through 6 is going to be the same. You're doing a 1 single crochet in each stitch all the way around. So I'll show you round 3, and then you'll do rounds 4, 5, and 6 on your own off camera. Just 1 single crochet in each stitch around. Ensuring to do a slip stitch and chain 1 after each round. So I'll meet you guys back to do our chain 1 and cut. So this is the arm that is finished. I pull up the yarn after I did my slip stitch and chain 1. We're going to trim it off and pull it out. Leave that tail to sew it onto the body later. These are the two arms that I have. So the next thing we're going to get started on is the feet. This is one of the feet that I made off camera with the toes and the foot. So the first thing we're going to start with is the foot. This is the written pattern for the foot if you want to take a quick picture. So we're going to get started with the magic ring like usual. You go under the first, over the second, twist, grab your yarn, pull through. By this point, the yarn was splitting a lot, getting quite on my nerves. So we're going to do 6 single crochets into the magic ring for the feet. One, two, three, four, five, six. Tighten that down, slip stitch and chain 1. And then we're ready for round 2. Round 2 is going to be an increase in each stitch. The center of my circle was a little loose there, so I tried to pull it down a little tighter. So just one increase in each stitch. This is creating the bottom portion of the foot. And now we're going to do our slip stitch and chain 1. So for round 3, you're only working into the back loop. So I'm going to show you here more detailed. So the back loop is the top loop of the 2 loops on your work. So where that V shape is, it's the upper loop. So into the back loop, you're going to be doing 1 single crochet in each stitch around. This is going to create the upper leg portion for the foot. So here you can see the difference between the side and the bottom. Because we were going into the back loop, it creates that upper portion while keeping the bottom of it flat. So then we're going to go ahead and do rounds 4 through 6, which is just single crochets like normal all the way around. Making sure to do your slip stitch and chain 1 in between each round. It's going to look like this. You want them to be the same height. This is what it looks like when you finish the upper leg portion. The next thing we need to do is make the toes. So I did my chain 1 and cut, leaving a tail to sew onto it later. This is the tail from the magic circle earlier. I'm going to take and tuck it into the leg. Grabbing my dark blue yarn, So they call it the nails, not the toes. So this is the written pattern for how to make the nails. So we don't need a lot of yarn. I just cut a piece of dark blue yarn. I'm going to make a slip knot. So I'm going to take my hook and find the portion of the leg that I want to be in the front. And with the first few stitches, I'm going to go into that back loop round. I'm going to put my dark blue yarn onto my hook, secure it. So pulling down and securing with a chain 1, chain 2. We're going to turn the work around so that we can work in the direction that we want the toes to go, or the nails. So we're going to go into the next stitch of that front loop only from the back loop only round into the next stitch. And we're doing 2 stitches together. So we're basically doing a decrease in the front loop only. And then slip stitch into the next stitch. And then do again. So we're going to do another slip stitch. And then I'm going to do a chain 2. And then you're going to do the 2 stitch together in the front loop only. So in 1 stitch, in the next front loop, yarn over, pull through all 3. And then we're going to do a slip stitch. This is what it looks like. They look uniform to me. You do your chain 1 and cut. And then I'm going to stick my hook into the center, down to the bottom there. And I'm going to pull that tail piece of yarn up into the leg so that I don't have to deal with sewing it in later on. I tuck those tail pieces of yarn into the foot. This is what the 2 feet look like together. I'm doing the same thing here as the other foot, going down to the base piece, grabbing the yarn, pulling it up into the leg, and then tucking it into the actual leg of the, so that we don't have to sew it in. Here's a quick look at the head, body, and legs. The legs are going to go to the side like this. He seems to be sitting up pretty well. And then these are the 2 arms that are going to go on the side. So we're going to get started on the right ear. This is the written pattern for the right ear. You can pause to take a photo of it. We're going to grab our dark blue yarn and go ahead and get started. The first portion that we're doing is it's beginning from the top left of the ear with the dark blue yarn. And we're going to make an adjustable ring, which is a magic ring. And we're going to put in 6 single crochets. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. So we have 6 single crochets. Pull your tail down to tighten it. So we're not going to be doing a join. We're working in the round. You can mark it with a stitch marker or a scrap piece of yarn so that you don't lose track. But we're going to get started with round 2. Round 2 is going to be 2 single crochets in the first 3 stitches. So basically an increase in the first 3 stitches. So that's 1, another increase, and another increase. So we're going to change to that purpley yarn. They call it the light purple yarn. So in the last single crochet, you're going to use the light purple yarn to finish off that single crochet. Then you're going to do 2 single crochets in the last 3 stitches. So again, you're doing 3 increases. So 2 single crochets in each stitch for the last 3 stitches. So that brings us around. In the last single crochet with the light purple yarn before round 3, you're going to change back to the berry blue yarn or the dark blue yarn. So finishing off that last single crochet with the dark blue yarn. So now you're going to do 1 single crochet in the next 6 stitches. 2, 3, with how small this is, it's very difficult to make sure you're getting into the right stitch. It will get easier as we go along. 4, and 6. So on that 6th single crochet, you want to change back to your light purple yarn. And then do 6 single crochets with the light purple. So we're on round 4. We changed over to our dark blue yarn. So now we're going to do a single crochet in the next stitch and then an increase in the next stitch. So single crochet and then increase. And you're going to repeat that 3 times. So single crochet, increase, single crochet, increase. In the last increase stitch, you're going to change back to your light purple yarn. And you're going to repeat the same sequence. So with the light purple yarn, it's a single crochet and then increase, single crochet, increase, and repeat it 3 times. Once you do your final increase stitch, go ahead and change back to the dark blue yarn so we're ready for round 5. And so for round 5, you're going to do 9 single crochets with the dark blue, changing over to the purple, and then doing 9 single crochets with the purple. In the last increase stitch of round 5, you're going to change back to your dark blue yarn so we can prepare for round 6. Our round 6 is going to be 7 single crochets and then 2 stitches together. This is 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now we're going to do 2 stitches together. So in one stitch, in the other stitch, yarn over, pull through 3, which is just a decrease. So when you're yarning over, pull through 3, you want to change over to your purple yarn. You're starting off the purple with a decrease. This is how mine is looking so far. So into the next stitch, pull through, next stitch, pull through, yarn over all 3. And then we're going to do 7 single crochets, basically mirroring the first portion for the blue side, but opposite. When you get to that last single crochet, you're going to change back to your blue yarn. Ready for round 7? Round 7 is going to be 5 single crochets and then 3 stitches together. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Doing our decrease into the next stitch, pull through, next stitch, pull through, next stitch, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 4. That's 3 stitches together. When you yarn over through all 4, yarn over with your light purple yarn. Now we're going to do the same thing for the purple, 3 stitches together. So 1, 2, and 3, yarn over, pull through all 4. Some of my yarn is stuck, so I'm going to do it again. When the yarn splits, it gets stuck on itself, and you can't pull it all the way through. So 1, 2, and 3, yarn over, pull through all 3, or all 4. And then you're going to finish off the purple with 5 single crochets. On the last single crochet, change back to your light blue yarn, and we're going to be ready for round 8. Round 8 is going to be 5 single crochets, and into the next stitch is going to be 4 single crochets in the same stitch. On the last single crochet, you're going to change to the light purple, and then you're going to do 4 single crochets in the next stitch with the light purple yarn. And then you're going to continue with 5 single crochets. Changing back to your blue yarn, we're going to get ready for round 9. Round 9 is going to start with a single crochet in 2 stitches, and then an increase in the next stitch, and repeat it 3 times. So single crochet, increase, and then single crochet, increase. Repeat that 2 more times. On the last single crochet increase, you will change over to your light purple yarn to work the other half of the ear. So we changed to our light purple, and we're going to do a single crochet in the next 2, and then an increase, and repeat it 3 times, the same way that we did for the other side. Change back to your dark blue. We're going to get ready for rounds 10 through 12. Rounds 10 through 12, you're going to do 12 single crochets with the dark blue, 12 single crochets with the purple. You're going to switch back between your colors the same way that we have been. So you're going to do the 12 single crochets on one side, 12 single crochets on the other side. So we finished that. I'm at finish with round 12, and I'm getting ready to start round 13. I've already done my color change to my dark blue yarn. These are the 3 rounds that we worked. You can see the size difference between the bottom and top of the ear. So we're going to get started with round 13. Round 13 is 10 single crochets and then 2 stitches together. So we did our single crochets. Now we're doing our 2 stitch together, which is a decrease. When you finish off your decrease, use the light purple yarn. And then you're going to do 2 stitches together with the light purple yarn. And finishing that off with 10 single crochets. Changing back to the dark blue yarn. I'll meet you for round 14. Getting ready to start round 14. I have my dark blue yarn ready. We're going to do 9 single crochets and then 2 stitches together. When finishing your 2 stitches together for the blue, change to your purple yarn. And when you get the purple started, you're going to start with 2 stitches together and then 9 single crochets. When you finish your 9 single crochets, change back to your blue yarn, and then we'll be back ready for round 15. So we're doing round 15. I already did a few stitches here, but round 15 starts with 8 single crochets. And then you do your 2 stitches together, finishing off your decrease. With your light purple yarn. Continuing with the purple, you're going to do 2 stitches together and then 8 single crochets. And change back to your dark blue yarn. Ready for round 16. You're going to do a single crochet in the first 7 stitches. And then you're going to do 2 stitches together. Finishing off the 2 stitches together with the light purple yarn. And you're going to start the purple off with 7 single crochets. And then we'll do a decrease at the end. So when we're finishing off our decrease, we're going to change back to the dark blue yarn. We have about 4 more rows to do. So we're going to get started with round 17. Round 17 is going to be 6 single crochets and then 2 stitches together. So this is the end of my round 20. So I want to make a border along the edge of the ear. I feel the way it looks right now doesn't look quite the same as the box. So we're going to make a border. So I do a chain 1, and then I'm going into each stitch on the side, and I'm just doing a single crochet. So go into the stitch on the side, single crochet. And you're just doing this all the way around. You don't have to do this if you don't want to. It's not in the written pattern. This is just what I wanted to do to make it look more how the ear does on the box. So take your time, put 1 stitch in each stitch on the side all the way around. So after I did the border, this is what the ear looked like. Now, this is supposed to be the right ear. And when you look at the box, mine doesn't exactly look like that one, even when you flip it around. It kind of looks similar, but not really. So I'm not sure if it was me or the pattern. If you guys had the same issue, let me know in the comments. And the purples are not the same. This is a very muted purple that I don't really think it matches the other colors included with the stitch. So this is the written pattern for the left ear. We're going to get started with that soon. This is the first portion of it. And this is the second portion of the left ear. You can pause, take a picture, or come back to this point if you forget the written pattern. So we're going to go ahead and get started with our dark blue yarn for round 1. And for round 1, we're making a magic ring like always. And then we're doing 6 single crochets. This starts out the same way as the other ear did. Once you have your 6 single crochets, pull the tail tight to close the ring. We're not going to join our stitches together, but we're going to go ahead and start round 2. Using your same dark blue yarn, you're going to do 2 single crochets in the first 3 stitches. So you're basically doing an increase in the first 3 stitches. On that last increase stitch, you want to change back to your purple. So we change back to our purple. And we're going to do 2 single crochets in each stitch for the last 3 stitches. So an increase in the last 3 stitches. So 2 single crochets in each stitch. When you get to your last increase stitch, you're going to do a color change and go back to your dark blue. For round 3, you're going to do a single crochet in the first 6 stitches with your dark blue. Getting my yarn situated, it's being kind of finicky. So 1 single crochet in each stitch for a total of 6 single crochets. On the last single crochet, change back to your purple, and then do 6 single crochets for the purple side. When you get to the last single crochet on the purple side, switch back to your dark blue yarn, and then we're going to get ready for round 4. Round 4 is going to be a single crochet in the next stitch and an increase in the next stitch, repeated 3 times. So single crochet, increase. Single crochet, increase. Repeat that one more time. On the last increase, you're going to change to the light purple yarn. When you change to the light purple yarn, you're going to do a single crochet and then an increase, the same that we were doing with the blue. Repeat that 3 times. Single crochet, increase, repeated 3 times. On the last increase, you're going to do your color change again back to the dark blue. That's going to put us at round 5. So this is very similar to the other ear, the way that it starts out at the bottom. So do your color change. And now we do round 5. Round 5 is going to be a single crochet in 9 stitches with a color change, and then a single crochet in 9 stitches with the purple. So finish that off, and then I will meet you back for round 6. So now we're ready for round 6. Did our color change using our dark blue. We're going to do 2 single crochets in the first 3 stitches. So you're doing an increase in the first 3 stitches. And then you're going to do a single crochet in the next 6 stitches. In the last single crochet, you're going to change to the purple yarn. For the purple yarn, you're going to start with 6 single crochets, mimicking the other side. And then the last 3 stitches, you're going to do an increase of 2 single crochets in each stitch. In the last increase, you're going to do your color change and switch back to the dark blue yarn. And for rounds 7 through 12, they're going to be the same. 7 through 12, you're going to do 12 single crochets with the dark blue, and then 12 single crochets with the light purple, switching your colors the same way in between. So 12 single crochets with the dark blue, 12 single crochets with the light purple for rounds 7 through 12. I'll meet you back for round 13. So we're ready for round 13. Using the dark blue, you're going to do 10 single crochets. After your 10 single crochets, you're going to do 2 stitches together, which is a decrease. So our 2 stitches together, and you're going to finish off that decrease with the light purple yarn. Using the light purple yarn, you're going to do 2 stitches together, and then you're going to do 10 single crochets. At the last single crochet, change back to your dark blue yarn and we'll be ready for round 14. So for round 14, you're going to do 9 single crochets and then 2 stitches together. When you're doing your 2 stitches together, finish off that decrease with the purple yarn. And then with the purple yarn, your first stitch is going to be a decrease, 2 stitches together, and then 9 single crochets. At your last single crochet, change to the dark blue. Round 15, with your dark blue, you're going to do 8 single crochets, 2 stitches together. When you're finishing the 2 stitches together, change to your light purple, the same as we have the last couple of rounds. Start your light purple with 2 stitches together and then 8 single crochets. So I'll leave you guys here to do that, and I'll meet you back for round 16. So we're ready for round 16. We have our dark blue. So again, we're doing 7 single crochets, 2 stitches together, changing to the light purple, 2 stitches together, 7 single crochets. Very similar to the last few rounds. So we're ready for round 18. So we have our dark blue yarn. First thing we're going to do is 5 single crochets. And then a decrease. Finishing off your decrease with your purple yarn. And doing the same thing on the purple side. Starting off with a decrease and then 5 single crochets. So for round 19, we're using our dark blue yarn. You're going to put a single crochet in 4 stitches and then a decrease. And then repeat that twice. So single crochet in 4 stitches with a decrease. There's no more color changes. So you can go ahead and cut your purple yarn. Round 20 is just going to be 1 single crochet in each stitch. All the way around, you're using your dark blue yarn. At the end of round 20, you're going to do a chain 1 and cut, leaving a tail to sew this on. If you want to do it like mine, I'm going to do the same chain 1 at the end and create the border the same way I did on the right ear. So if you need to remember how to make the border, you'll have to go back to the right ear and check it out over there. So I'm cutting my purple yarn, doing the chain 1 and cut for the blue. And this is what the ear looks like for the left side. I'm going to do the border off camera the same way I did the border on the other one. So the last thing we're doing is making the sunflower that they have Stitch holding. You don't have to make this if you want to. I don't think I've ever seen Stitch hold a sunflower, but it's cute, why not? It's pretty easy to do. This is the written pattern for the flower, the stem, and the leaf. All of it's right here. Take a picture if you need to. The first section of it that we're going to do is the flower. It's pretty simple. We're going to start with the brown yarn. So we got our brown yarn, and we're going to be making a magic ring. The same way we've made a magic ring in the beginning of the video. And we're going to do 7 single crochets. So put your hook into the center, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. That's your single crochet. Once you have 7 single crochets, tighten your tail down. You're going to do a slip stitch and chain 1. My ring is a little more open, so I'm going to try and pull it tighter. I don't want to pull it too tight because then the yarn can rip. Round 2 is going to be an increase in each stitch for a total of 14 stitches. Once you finish that, make sure to do your slip stitch and chain 1. And now we're going to be working into the back loop only. So from the V, there's an upper and lower loop. You're going to be working in that upper loop, which is considered the back loop. So put your hook into the back loop of the next stitch. You're doing a single crochet. So you're doing 1 single crochet in each back loop, making sure you're going through the back loop and not both loops. This will create a space for the flower petals when we put on the flower petals. So now we almost done. We're going to do our slip stitch and chain 1. That's our round 3. The last one is round 4. And you're going to do 7 decreases. When you get to that last decrease, do your slip stitch and chain 1. Pull up, go ahead and cut. You don't need much of a tail. And tuck the tail into the brown part of the flower. You can stitch it closed if you prefer. Which I think I'm gonna go ahead and stitch mine closed. So I'm gonna grab my tapestry needle real quick, put my yarn in, and just weave in and out the back to close it up. So I got my yellow yarn ready on the side. The written pattern for this portion is this paragraph here. So what we're gonna do, making a slip knot, and then taking our brown flower center, we're going to figure out where we want the petal to start. You're going to put your hook in, putting in to the round 3, the back loop only round. Slide your yarn on to secure it with a chain 1. And then we're going to start the sequence of a half double crochet, a double crochet, chain 2, into the second chain from the hook, put a single crochet. So half double crochet, a double crochet, a chain 2, in the second chain put a single crochet, and then do a half double crochet back into that first stitch, also placing a slip stitch into the second stitch. And you're going to repeat this a total of 7 times. So half double crochet, double crochet, chain 2, single crochet into the second chain, half double crochet back into that stitch, and then a slip stitch. Repeat that until you have 7 petals. I'll meet you guys back for the next step. So this is my flower, finished all the petals. I have a couple of extra petals, but it's all right. I want these 2 petals down here at the bottom to be closer together. I feel like they leave a gap and I don't really like the way it looks. So we got them together. Now I need to take the yarn and put it through the center to get it out of the way. We're going to loop it around one of the stitches to secure it so it doesn't come out. So the next thing that we're going to get started on is the stem, and then we're going to work the leaf. Here's the written pattern for both of those. Grab your green yarn, and we're going to make a magic ring. This magic ring is going to have 5 single crochets. Pull it down to tighten the circle. You're going to do a slip stitch and chain 1. With only 5 single crochets, it's going to be kind of hard, so take your time. And then for rounds 2 through 9, you're just doing 1 single crochet in each stitch, doing your slip stitch and chain 1 in between. After round 3 or so, it should start to curl up. So I'll meet you guys back once you finish round 9. This is my round 6. I want to put the leaf on this round. So we're going to work the sequence for the leaf in the middle of round 6, and then continue with the rest of the single crochet rounds. So we're going to get started with the leaf. I did a chain 4. In the second chain from the hook, you're going to do a slip stitch. And then a half double crochet, increase. So 2 half double crochets in 1 stitch. Do a half double crochet and a single crochet into the last chain. So I'm going to slip stitch my leaf back into the stem. And I'm going to continue with my rounds. So rounds 7, 8, and 9. And then I'll meet you guys back once I finish round 9. So we finish round 9, do my slip stitch and chain 1, go ahead and cut. There's a little leaf. So we take the sunflower head somewhere around here, and I wanted to stitch it here so that it stays upright. This is how it's going to look. So I'm placing it here on the back. I'm going to stitch the stem flat and just attach it to the back of the sunflower. So getting my tapestry needle, I'm going to go close this end off so that it's more flat and it will sit on the flower nicely. Just a few times through the back and front. And then we take and place it onto the sunflower, holding it in place, taking our needle through part of the brown stitching of the flower, through the green stem, pulling that through, pulling it tight to secure, and do the same thing back over the top, through the brown, through the green, pulling it through. Once that's secure the way I want it, we'll take and push the green yarn through the center of the flower, going around one stitch to secure it, and then cutting. And here's our little sunflower first stitch to hold. So here we have the left side of his body. I put on the foot, the arm, and the ear so that you can see how I put it together. These are the threads. I'm going to leave them there for now. I'll cut them off later when I'm sure that everything's in the right place. These are all the pieces for the right side. Obviously, we're going to start off with the foot so that he can sit up nicely. So making sure to put his foot kind of out here to the side, because that's how they have him sitting on the box. So we're going to put our yarn on our tapestry needle. We're going to take a look at where I put this one to try and line them up. So I put the bottom of his foot around the 5th round of the body. So we're going to try and keep this one the same. It's kind of hard to hold it in place, but we'll do our best. And we give about 3 rows for the width of his foot. So we pull it up through the top, and then we're going to secure the top stitch. So going through the midway point of the top of his leg, pulling it through, securing it down, checking the placement, seeing if I like how it looks. I think that it's a little too high, so I'm going to take it out and try again. I'm still placing it into the 5th round, but instead of going up 3 rows, I'm just going to go up the 2 rows, securing it the same way, pulling it through, going through the midpoint of the foot, pulling it back up and through, checking the placement. Looks much better, looks even. So what we're going to do, it's kind of similar to what we did to the head. Choose which direction you'd like to start. Go through the stitch, down through the body, coming back up, leaving it a little loose so that you can work into the next stitch. So go into the next stitch, pull it a little bit, going into the body, coming back through, pulling it tight this time, ensuring that all those threads were tight. So now we're going to turn them and secure their leg the rest of the way around. Coming through the top, going through his body, back up through the top. You keep doing that until the leg is secure. Once the leg is secure, you stick the thread through the main body out the back, and we'll cut it off later. So his leg's attached. Now we're going to attach his arm. So his arm is going in the crease of his neck. So we're going to seal off the top the same way that we did the flower stem. So flattening it together, weaving your needle in through one side over the top, back in and across. And now we're going to attach it to the body. So you're going to choose the stitch to go into. It's about 3 stitches wide. So I went through 2, pulled it tight, going through the corner stitch of his arm. It's kind of tight to get it through there. And pulling it tight. And then you're going to go through the side into the middle stitch, through the middle stitch of the arm, and pull that tight. Check and make sure that you like where it's placed. If you like how it looks, stick the needle through the body, out the back, and we'll cut that thread later. Lastly, we're going to stitch on his right ear. So for the right ear, I pinched it down at the bottom and stitched it together. This gives it more of a ear look like it does on the real stitch. So going through the bottom stitch, folding it together, kind of sandwiching it, and just weaving through, back over the top, weaving through, the same way that we did the arm and the stem of the flower. You do that a couple of times. Once you think it looks good, you're going to try to place the ear on the head evenly with the other. So where I think it's even, I'm going to hold it in place. I'm going through the folded part of the ear and down into the body of the head. So we're going to hold it there. And what you're trying to do is stitch it on. It can be hard to hold it in place. If you have stitch markers, you can use that if that helps. Or just take your time. And one by one, it will become more tight. My yarn kept being pulled out of my tapestry needle. I didn't realize how short of a tail I was working with. Checking to make sure that I like where it's placed. Coming up through this bottom stitch. And I want to stitch his ear down to the side of his head because it's kind of just flopping off out to the side. So we're stitching the side of the ear onto the side of the head. Just going through the ear, through the head of the body. Once you feel that it's secure, you're gonna push the yarn back through the back of the head, like the rest of the tails. You can go ahead and cut all the tails off if you're happy with the placement. He sits up okay. He needs a little bit of help. So we're going to use the box. Here he is sitting up. So this is his felt nose. I'm going to place his nose right above his color change. And these are his eyes. I don't know how long these are going to stay on, but it still looks cute. So we'll press them down, make sure they're secure. And then we're going to unite him with his sunflower. I didn't give him his hair on the top of his head. You can do that if you'd welcome to, but I did not. So these 3 pieces on, or the multiple pieces on the back, we're going to cut them off. Now that they're cut off, this is what he looks like. Not too bad. He came out pretty good. I still don't think the ear matches, and I don't think the pattern's exactly the same. Maybe it's me, maybe it's the pattern. Overall, it's not too bad. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this crochet tutorial. I have more videos coming out soon. If you ever have any video suggestions, leave them in the comments below. Please like and share with your friends. And I'll see you guys next time.